Hey YouTube, I'm Rail, founder of Read, Jam, Write Games. Today I'd like to talk about our first currently in development game, Rcube. Rcube is a voxel variety game, which is a term that I've made up, so let's explain a little bit about what that is. At the center of Rcube is a high-quality, feature-rich voxel engine, which is what we're going to talk about today. That's what makes up the voxel portion of voxel variety game. And then over the next 3 weeks, we're going to talk about 3 different game modes that make up the variety game portion of voxel variety game. So again, at the center of Rcube is a voxel engine. We're going to use that same voxel engine for each of these 3 games. So each game will share the benefits as that engine gets better, the bug fixes will be shared across them, and new features that we add into one game mode will be added to that central engine so that they can be available for future updates in other game modes. So how are we defining a high definition voxel engine? Voxels that are smaller in relation to the player than most other voxel games. Some voxel games have 2 voxel tall characters, some have 1 voxel tall characters. We're going to have 6 voxel tall characters. This is going to be accomplished by having a strict definition of voxels, so no half cubes, no diagonals, no chisels. But with that smaller size of the voxels, you can create smaller objects your character can naturally interact with through the physics systems, like chairs you can sit on, made out of whatever material you like, tables you can crawl under, to hide under, like railings on the stairs. They're just 1 voxel wide, completely custom built exactly how you want it. One of our other features is going to be what we're calling skinned voxels, or maybe voxel skins. So rather than having in other games when 2 blocks touch one another, when they come in contact, they just stick to one another. There's no possibility to have anything between them. We're going to have a third, almost like a sideways, a squished voxel that sits in between 2 other voxels. So if you take a piece of dirt, and you stick it to the wall, that would happen in real life. That makes sense, especially if it's wet, if it's more like mud than dirt. But if you take a stone, you touch it to the wall, it won't stick there. It'll just fall down. So our game is going to work. Our engine is going to work more like that, where not all voxels will directly connect to each other. Instead, there will be a skin in between. They'll save that state as to whether or not they're connected. And that leads into voxel objects. So you'll have, like, say, a plank of wood. Those voxels are already connected. The skin in between, say you've got a plank of wood that's 1 voxel wide and 4 voxels long. 1, 2, 3, 4. That would have 3 skins in between for that, and they would all be connected. And then that piece would be constant connected piece. You could set it down in the grass and pick it right back up. If you used nails to connect it to the wall, you could cut part of it off or change it however you like, and it'll remember that state. So it acts like a separate object, and you can make bigger objects out of them by continuing to add to them using those skins that dictate whether or not it's connected. And as you build into things, that leads into our architectural strength system. So voxels are going to have a weight and then a stickiness, a connection strength associated with their connection to their surrounding voxels, that they're part of that same object. As you add more voxels, you add more weight to that connection until eventually it will break. So dirt will stick to other dirt, like we talked about before, but a dirt roof will only send out, for example, 3 voxels before it falls apart. It just doesn't have strong connection strength. So you'll be able to start building, but then you'll encounter that new mechanic as soon as you try and build out of a simple material like dirt. And then you'll try and build with wood that won't connect, but it'll inform you that you need nails to actually make that stickiness like dirt naturally has. And then you can use those voxel objects, like planks. You can make stone bricks. You could even build, there's those steps that are built out of very closely uh, like sanded and shaped stone blocks that all fit together. You could even do that sort of building with stone objects that are crafted to fit into one another. So lots of options there, lots of fun with possibility of cave-ins as well. And so on top of that voxel system, we also want to have simple but effective AI. AI that wants to build a house, wants to start growing food, wants to avoid danger, and uses predefined action plans to make sure it's always moving towards some goal. Like first it'll always go through the same steps in the same order, first trying to get some food, then trying to get shelter, then trying to find a partner so that it can expand its little mini civilization. And then their current goals will also decide how they act towards you. If you have a lot of food at your base, you become a target for a group that needs food, that maybe hasn't figured out farming yet. And if you're farther along and you have lots of uh, material goods, lots of valuables, like, I don't know, a gold candlestick, it's not very good to groups that are lower on the technology level. But for a group that also is more advanced and has commerce and can sell those valuables, instead they'll start coming after you. So the AI will sort of scale along with you in that way. Okay, so that's a short introduction to the goals and the systems that we're going to have in our voxel engine, Rcube. I hope that you'll come back next week for our next video where we'll be talking about the first game mode for Rcube. Thanks.